Hello and welcome back to Mexico News Network's Daily News, broadcasting from El Dorado Royal Spa Resort by Charisma. Remember to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Google Plus for more news. And log on to our website, www.mexiconewsnetwork.com. And now I have my friend Ben here. Ben, how are you?
I'm very good.
You know, Ben in Spanish is like, come.
Oh,
Ben.
Oh, Ben.
Ben. How are you? What do you think about this place?
This place is amazing. It's, the food is fantastic. The view is gorgeous.
All right. Is this your first time in the country?
This is, no. This is the first time here.
Here in Cancun?
Yes.
And which part of Mexico have you been?
More Mexico City and more north.
Okay. And what do you think about the south of this country?
It's a lot more beautiful.
Do you like more?
I like the beach. The ocean is fantastic.
Mm-hmm. And what do you think? You know, this hotel has the gourmet inclusive experience.
Oh, yeah.
What do you think about that amazing part of this hotel?
The food is excellent. I have not had a bad experience. Everybody is friendly. That's all I can say.
And do you have a favorite dish?
JoJo's is good. JoJo's is good. Very good.
Okay. And what about the Mexican food? I have to ask you.
It's very good. I'm from Texas, so there's a lot of Mexican food there too.
But not like
this.
Nothing like eating Mexican food in Mexico.
No, nothing like this. Yeah.
And do you have a favorite dish of the Mexican cuisine?
I like the tacos.
Tacos?
The tacos is very good.
The arrachera tacos, meat tacos?
Yes. Asada.
Okay.
Tacos asada.
Tacos de asada. Oh,
very good.
Perfect. High five. Perfect.
Yes,
okay. So, what do you think about the places in this resort? The pool, the beach, the restaurants. Do you like them?
Oh yes. Everybody is friendly. They welcome you. With hola. Everybody is. Yeah. It's
will you recommend this place?
Yes. Of course.
So we're going to see you more often here.
Always.
Okay,
yes.
Thank you so much, Ben. Have a great time. When are you leaving?
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow, so you have a great time here.
Today's our last day, exactly.
Okay, so enjoy the pool, the beach, and JoJo's. Okay, thank you so much, Ben. All right, organizers of the Riviera Maya Film Festival announced the publication of this year's lineup of films during a press conference held last week. Paula Sharon, the event's director, said at a press conference that they will be featuring around 70 films, 53 of which will be national premieres. The RMFF, one of the year's most anticipated cultural events, is set to kick off on April 23 and will be taking place at 5 key locations in the state of Quintana Roo: Puerto Morelos, Cancun, Tulum, Playa del Carmen, and different locations throughout the Riviera Maya, which have yet to be specified. The festival admittedly deviates slightly from the sand and sun-based reasons many people visit the Mexican Caribbean. However, far from competing with the endless daytime activities Quintana Roo offers, RMFF is an alternative evening option for those looking to take a break from the rambunctious night out of the swap of sampling of edgy independent art cinema. All of this in the mystical backdrop of the ancestral Maya forests, beaches, and cenotes. Indeed, while more urbanized locations like Playa del Carmen and Cancun will feature some indoor screenings at local theaters, most of the festival's films will be displayed under the stars, and in some cases, in the presence of actors for certain films are expected to attend some of the presentations. RMFF emerged in 2012 as an initiative to bring quality films to the people of the state of Quintana Roo and to its many visitors. It also provides incentives for local filmmaking and awards 2 Kukulkan Awards to the most outstanding films of the festival's Mexican platform. Though this year's roster will be featuring a great deal for independent talent, some films will star big names, perhaps the most notable example being Terrence Malick's Night of Cops with Kristen Bell, Cate Blanchett, and Natalie Portman. Though details have yet to be specified, the RMFF's website has listed the feature as scheduled to be screened in presence of the talent. This year's Oscar victories from Mexican cinematographers Alejandro González Iñárritu and Emmanuel Lubezki were a massive inspiration to filmmakers and talent across Mexico. But they can also be considered part of a more widespread foray of Mexicans into the so-called seventh art. To support and encourage this momentum, the festival organizers created the Riviera Labs initiative, which aims to support local filmmaking and talent. The National Museum of Anthropology in Mexico City is one of the most important institutions of its kind worldwide. It reveals a vast collection of archaeological pieces which date back to a period that covers several eras through time, going back at least 1,000 years before Christ, spanning across until reaching the 21st century, featuring remains of the past which tell the silent story of the region known as Mesoamerica. This region spreads through several countries in Latin America, from Mexico, Guatemala, El Salvador, Belize, Honduras, Nicaragua, and Costa Rica, where amazing cultures settled in order to build outstanding structures and leave behind colorful traditions, legends, and a wide array of unsolved mysteries. As proof of the above mentioned, we present you five of the most prominent pieces which can be found in Mexico City at the National Museum of Anthropology located in the Bosque de Chapultepec Forest. Mask of Pacal. This fabulous jade mask ornamented with conchs and stones was found in 1952 in the archaeological site of Palenque in the state of Chiapas. This piece is part of one of the most important archaeological discoveries in Mexico. Dr. Alberto Ruz, leader of that team of archaeologists, wouldn't believe what he had just found. It was a white funerary chamber where Pacal, ruler of that Maya capital between 615 and 638 before Christ, was found along with a fascinating array of uncountable treasures. The Anthropology Museum offers a spectacular replica of the funerary chamber located in the Maya Hall, where all the treasures found on that memorable day are today on display for everyone to enjoy and admire. Obsidian Monkey Girl, the perfect form of this volcanic crystal-made piece makes it almost impossible to understand its careful and detailed carving, using only rudimentary tools. Obsidian was a very valued mineral in pre-Hispanic days for the Teotihuacans and Mexicas, who also used for the sharp tips of arrows and spears. This piece is located in the southeast hall near Moctezuma's headdress. Bad God Mask. The Bad God was related to death to the underworld. Experts believe that it was probably a group of indigenous group from the what today known as Guatemala, who took to the town of Oaxaca and uncommon called for some sort of bad god or entity. This awe-inspiring mask is formed by several overlapped jade plaques and was found in the archaeological site of Monte Alban. It can be admired in the Oaxaca Hall. Chest of Gold, originally created by Mixtecan artisans from Yanguitlan in the state of Oaxaca. According to the experts, this piece is called Chimali, which was some kind of indigenous warrior crest. The arrows crossing the main circle reveal its military nature, and the 11 rattles hanging from it give the piece the correct balance. It is said that this jewel must have been property of a noble or knight and was probably granted to him for his battle skills. Find this piece and more precious metals treasures in the Oaxaca Hall. Gold tile. When the Spanish soldiers started stealing gold from the Mexicas, the indigenous warriors commanded by Cuitláhuac surrounded them in the palaces of Tenochtitlan. The Europeans found a creative way of carrying their treasures unnoticed. They had to melt jewels and gold in order to form small plaques. This way, one of the Spanish soldiers led by Cortés must have dropped one of the gold tiles he was carrying. This piece was found in the Mexico City's Historic Center and can be admired in the Mexica Hall near Moctezuma's headdress. Along the coast of the Gulf of Mexico and the Caribbean, one will come across impressive forts, giant walls rising above the waters of Mexico, made to protect the treasures of the New World. There to enjoy a trip to the past and discover the fascinating stories behind these forts in Mexico. Pirates' stories begin when Hernán Cortés sent to the Spanish monarchy proof of the great treasures hidden in the New World, which instantly made other kingdoms jealous and envious of those treasures. Being Spain the only nation that could actually take advantage of the natural resources in the New World, England, France, Holland, and Portugal allied with pirates so they would steal those precious treasures from the Spanish. Robberies were not just at sea. Ports of New Spain, today Mexico, were unprotected, and that's why the Spanish government ordered the construction of strong buildings to protect their treasures. Forts in Mexico. The San Juan de Ulúa Fort. The San Juan Ulúa Fort was the first to be constructed in the continent, built in the small island in front of Veracruz port. It has been the guardian of the city for more than 500 years. Its dungeon, patio, and hallways have witnessed some of the fiercest pirate attacks. San Juan de Ulúa came out victorious in September 23, 1568, when the English pirates John Hawkins and Francis Drake were defeated in a terrible battle against the Spanish general Francisco Luján. Unfortunately, in 1683, the fort was taken by the famous pirate Lorencillo. He attacked the port with more than 1,200 Marines, who viciously stole great treasures from the city and left hundreds of victims behind them. Now the fort is one of the favorite tourist sites at Veracruz because it's not only the scenario of pirate stories, but is now the place where Chucho el Roto, the Mexican Robin Hood, escaped from justice, and of course the legend of La Mulata de Córdoba, at which that could escape using just a piece of coal. Campeche, the walled city. South of Veracruz, you will find Campeche, a walled town, a city that was constantly being subject of pirate attacks. This was the second port of New Spain, where silver, gold, orchids, and palo de tinte, a plant used to make ink, was exported to Spain. At this point of the story, the pirate Landgrave Lorencillo attacked again, but this time Campeche was his main target. This is the reason why the city built walls around it. Instead of time and the grown-up of the city, the walls and the forts are still part of Campeche, making it a magic and a mysterious town. San Felipe, Mayas, pirates, and conquest. The Mexican Caribbean was assaulted by pirates too. Along the coast of Quintana Roo, you will hear different stories about them, as Fermín Mundaca, a slave dealer that escaped from the British Marine and turned Isla Mujeres into his hiding place. Just a few meters from the Bacalar Lagoon, you will find San Felipe Fort, which keeps the story of the city since pre-Hispanic times to today. Bacalar was attacked because this was the point for trading merchandise. The most daring pirates landed in Bacalar to get food and kidnap women. Later, the town was also harassed for the palo de tinte. The years of piracy, robbery, and assaults has left a mark in these towns, fantastic and mysterious buildings that you can visit, there to relive history and amaze yourself with the architecture and beauty of these stone giants. And sometimes we do not know what are we standing on. Our planet has been alive for millions of years and was once the settlement for millions of people from ancestral civilization who have evolved into today's population. Sadly, sometimes we are unaware of the greatness of such fact until the day we stumble upon a small vestige from the past. Mexico City is a metropolis that has existed for hundreds of years, with over 8,000 million citizens. As a result, the government is constantly renewing and making the city more efficient to fulfill the needs and demands of its own inhabitants. Just a few weeks ago, workmen were repaving Francisco y Madero Avenue, and just a few centimeters away from the construction site, they came across with remains of the railway of an old train used in the 19th century. These kinds of discoveries are very popular in Mexico City because many of the buildings in the historical center are built over the most important city of Mesoamerica, Tenochtitlan. During the Spanish conquest, the colonial government constructed public buildings and churches over the Mexica temples. For almost 500 years, the vestiges of the Templo Mayor, Great Temple, remained buried under the streets of the Mexican capital city. Just some stone effigies were discovered throughout these years. These occasional discoveries began on colonial times in the year 1566, when the sons of the conqueror Gil González, Gil and Alonso de Ávila denied paying tribute to the Spanish king. Upon this action, the king ordered to behead these men and destroy their home. By doing so, the first traces of the Templo Mayor were exposed. These were sculptures of Coatlicue, Mother Goddess, and the Piedra del Sol, Sunstone. Year after year, more and more archaeological artifacts were discovered and dug up, which are real and true evidence of such a powerful city, which during its time was compared to the best cities in Europe, because many of the conquerors were amazed with the buildings of the great Tenochtitlan. The Templo Mayor and its greatest buildings were dedicated to Huitzilopochtli, goddess of war, and to Tlaloc, god of rain. According to the Mexica writings, the location for these structures was the place where their ancestors, just after leaving Aztlán, found the signal promised by Huitzilopochtli for them to settle in, signal now shown in the Mexican flag. By 18th century, Leopoldo Batres began working on the stairway of the west facade without knowing the importance of the site he was working on, due to the lack of information at that time. Later on, they would discover that what was buried under the cathedral was the Templo Mayor. During 78 years, archaeologists and researchers increasingly aware of the great treasure that might be under the streets of the capital, conducted various excavations in the area, digging out monoliths and offerings, ancient tracks of the great discovery they were about to find. Although the great find was not credited to the investigators but to the workmen of the electrical company who were working in the center of the city, when suddenly a large stone kept them from working. Astonished, they reported the event to the central station that turned the case into the Institute of Anthropology and History. The archaeologists in charge of doing the site's inspection were Raúl Arana and Ángel Garcia, who in fact discovered the large monolith the electrical company workmen found was a figure of Coyohuaytli. This, along with other findings, led to the expropriation of over 3.5 thousand square meters of land for excavation purposes. One can in fact visit the ruins and remains of some constructions that were part of the Templo Mayor, which are today kept in the museum that goes by the same name. During 500 years, researchers and scientists thought the temple was completely destroyed by Cortés. Nonetheless, they never imagined that just beneath the streets of the heart of Mexico City, some of the vestiges and remains were in fact alive, of what once was the most important and imposing civilization of Mesoamerica. Works continue. People keep traversing the streets of Mexico City without realizing the great treasures that lie right under their feet. Well, that was all for today. Thanks for watching Mexico News Network Daily News, broadcasting from El Dorado Royal Spa Resort by Charisma. I am your host, Sofia Rattinger. Please remember to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Google+. And log on to our website, www.mexiconewsnetwork.com, for more information about Mexico and the world. We'll see you the next time. you.